So, good morning. And, we just finished last night celebrating the holiday of Shmini Atzeret, Simchas Torah. And, for the first time being able to contact friends, family in Israel. Have both my child over there, as so do many of you listeners, immediate family beyond my children. And so I'm sharing just thoughts as they come to mind. And I'm sure so many of you who are listening have your thoughts and have your mixed feelings, confusion, rage, love, what's going on? How could this happen? Questions. But these are all many of these questions are valid, but they need to be put aside right now. How do we respond? What do we do right now? What do we tell our children? Last night, my teenage daughter, we live in a time of social media. We live in a time of instant posting and so on. And as a result, there's a lot of the strength to that. There's positivity to that in coming together and motivating each other in spreading good things. But there's also the ability for evil to spread its horrific message and the demoralizing images and so on. So again, I'm just sharing here, not in a necessarily organized manner, just thoughts that come to mind, and probably to many of us all here together listening and sharing with friends. So my daughter, last night when we sat on the couch, and she broke down crying. She says to me, "Ta, I don't understand this. How could people be so evil?" She has one of her best friends is in Israel for the Chag, for the holiday of Sukkot, for the most joyous holiday in the Jewish calendar. And she says, her cousin shared, her own cousin, meaning her friend's cousin, was shared on one of the terrorists' sites of how she's being tortured. I don't want to go into graphic detail, of course, because we've all seen that, we've heard that, and we're devastated by it. Here, I want to. What's our response? What's our response to this right now? So we are. Am Yisrael Chai. At this kind of tragedy, horrific tragedy of so many Jews being murdered in one day has not happened since the Holocaust. Every life, every individual life, is a world, as the Talmud says. Why was man? We read now Genesis, where man is created. Adam, the Talmud says, why was man created as one? Because every person, every individual is a world, and we always need to remember this. I'm sure many of you have watched the Nuremberg trials, where the judge, I think who was Spencer Tracy was the judge, and he says to the German judge, how could you allow this to happen? And he says, the German judge responds and says, there was one innocent man so we said, okay, it's one innocent man that we'll have to sort of sacrifice. Did I know it's going to reach to this proportion? And the judge responds, once you allow and you devaluate and your society morality allows for one individual one innocent person to be killed, to be tortured, or whatever it might be, that's the equivalent of a society. And so, when every individual is an entire world. When Israel, I don't want to go down there, because this is really not the time to critique. It's really a time of unity. So I want to mention a couple of things, and you're welcome in the comments if you feel something should be shared, and I see it. I'll try to share it as well. So we are who we are, despite pogroms and wars and Holocausts and Spanish Inquisition and Romans and Babylonians and just anti-Semitism. We are who we are because of our neshama, our soul, our spirit. Whenever we are attacked so horrifically, our response is always divided into two categories and then subdivided into many other categories, which is, of course, the spiritual and the physical. We have a tough army. We have the Israeli army that is an amazing army and sophisticated, dedicated, selfless. And we have our spirit, our neshama. An army is only as good as its morale, as its inner strength, its neshama, it's our soul. We are Am Yisrael Chai. We are now the land that God promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are fighting a savage, vicious enemy. So we will persevere. We will overcome. Yes, we got a terrible and tragic and horrifying patch, we would say in Yiddish. We got a real deep slap, wound, all the words you cannot even think of. But we will persevere. The Torah, one of the words always used when the Torah talks to the Jewish people about entering the land and future occurrences in the Tanakh, in the prophets, is God says to Moses or to Joshua, to Al Tira, do not be afraid. The fact that the Torah says do not be afraid, the fact that the Torah says means that there's reason for fear, but God says do not be afraid. I'm with you. Our response is we will persevere. We will persevere, and we will fight back, and we will avenge the blood of our loved ones, all our loved ones, and we will do so in a way that, with God's help, this will never ever happen again. Now, this is the various responses that just what I'm suggesting over here, just as a fellow Jew over here. Number one, not necessarily in an order of importance, but just what comes to mind. Whatever support you could give, both to Israelis, Israeli soldiers, whether it's monetary support, whether it's making sure to prepare. Come inside. Sorry, come inside. Give me 2 minutes. Just try to find a spot and just put it down. Okay, thank you. Sorry, whatever there's just going on. We're having a rally here tonight. Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. Whatever support you could give to our brethren in Israel, which means support, monetary support. It means emotional support in whichever way you could do. Sharing positive and uplifting images. Now is a time for Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, to come together with such a force of not fear, but positivity. We're in this together. We will do whatever it takes. Share that. There's going to be a lot of hate shared. Don't watch it. Don't look at it. Don't allow your children to look at it. There's nothing in that. There's nothing positive. This is war. This is not like just block it out and plead with your children, teenagers, that they too are part of this war. They are experts in social media beyond us, whether it's TikTok. I'm not recommending that they should be on social media. That's a separate discussion, but most likely they are. They should be inspired and told, you're part of this war. This is a world war. Israel is always sorry for that interruption. Israel is the ground zero where the test of the resolve of good versus evil has taken place for years, for history. Every one of us is part of this war in our way. So that's number one. Support the soldiers, support Israel, spread positivity. Have your kids block out any negativity. Just like a soldier, you have to go with a march of victory. Don't allow any fear. Al tira, just these words that God says. Al tira, don't be afraid. Chazak ve'ematz, be strong, be courageous. We're all part of this war, and we will be successful. Part of our morale, part of our spirit is the Torah, is mitzvahs. We have to enhance those mitzvahs which God and Torah and Talmud tells us have a special power to give us strength and to defeat our enemies. So a couple of suggestions. Tefillin, the mitzvah of tefillin for men. The Torah says that the enemies will see that the name of God is upon you and they will fear you. Says the Talmud, this refers to the tefillin. We, the Jewish people, are one organism. When you put on tefillin anywhere, you are giving strength and instilling fear into our enemies. There's plenty of stories in the Tanakh where all of a sudden the enemies came to attack Israel and God put fear into the hearts and minds of our enemies, and they scattered and they ran. Stories during the 6-Day War, stories during the Yom Kippur War. That's one mitzvah, tefillin. Lighting Shabbat candles for women, which is a positive light, that positive spiritual, infinite powerful light that connects every single Jewish woman and her family to the power of the souls of all of history. We're not in this alone. We're in this with all our loved ones from going back, our parents, our grandparents. You know, it's I don't know if ironic is the right word. There's so many things that's beyond that we could internalize intellectually. It makes no sense on so many levels, and we're not going to try to do so. You know, when I found out that what's going on in Israel on Shmini Atzeret, on Simchas Torah Shmini Atzeret, is a fellow walked in who doesn't usually come to synagogue, and he was crying. And you know what time he walked in? Just about, we are going to say Yizkor, when we're going to mention the prayers for all our deceased loved ones. We are all connected. We have behind us and with us the power of all of our ancestors. Another mitzvah is the mitzvah of charity, to give tzedakah. Tzedakah tatil mimavet. But charity brings unity. Charity says that we're not alone. Charity says we're not only thinking about ourselves. Whatever charitable cause it might be, of course, first and foremost to what's needed in Israel. But that's the power of one, the power of our organism. These are some of the mitzvahs. There might be more that I can recommend. An army is as powerful as its morale, in addition to having the capabilities, the weaponry, and so on, of course. But you need to have living Shechayonu. We just said the blessing during the holiday, Shechayonu, who has given us life, V'kimonu, existence. Existence without life is garnished, as we say in Yiddish. So these are some of the thoughts I want to encourage to really limit as best as possible, media exposure, unless it's, more positive. I'm not saying you shouldn't be updated. You should, but being glued to the media 24/7 is not healthy, especially not for our kinderlach, for our kids. We will prevail. We will prevail. Am Yisrael Chai. We will prevail. We will be victorious. We pray, and we send our love, support, and whatever else, and not just love and support, which is important, but again, find a link, find an outlet where you could send both monetary, emotional support to one individual soldier, to a group of soldiers, to those in Israel. God says, Al tira chazak v'amatz. We pray for the Ptsuyim, we pray for all those who are injured, we pray for those who are missing. We can't comprehend what happened over here, but our response and our resolve will not be broken. Please just, be part of this war effort. And before you do anything or share anything, ask yourself, is this helping the war effort or is this not? And together, both spiritually and practically or physically, we will have victory. We will avenge the blood of the fallen. We will eliminate evil. And that's what there is to say. Chazak ve'ematz. Let's be strong. Let's not fear. and we will together, all of us together, we will persevere, and not only persevere, it's the beginning of the year, started off with this horrible tragedy, but from this point on, we will have a year of such blessing, and we will heal. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not just trying to say sort of platitudes, and I don't know how. This is very, very painful, but we have to direct our pain in both providing comfort and support, reaching out to our congressmen, reaching out to our elected officials, that they should provide whatever support. And we will only grow stronger as we always have. Tonight at 6:00 here at Chabad, there is a rally where we will come together in prayer and in support, especially the children. King David says the children, our kindlach, have from the mouth of our children, our enemies will be destroyed. We do have limited parking, which we are working on trying to arrange, shuttle parking from some of the areas around. I think we'll be successful with that. If you have an area nearby Chabad that you think you could park, do so and walk over for a couple of moments. Let's all come together.